Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Deemer and welcome back to Lesson 6 of our Java Programming Tutorial series. Let's jump right into the lesson. Arrays are a fun, interesting, and confusing topic. The way that arrays work is they're like a list of items. Here's the syntax for an array. First, you say the data type, so let's go ahead and say int. Then you put square brackets. After that, you name it. Then you set it equal to a new integer array. Inside of those square brackets, you put the amount of items that you want inside of that array. So I have a list of 5 items here that I want to convert into an array. So let's go ahead and add some space here and create an integer array. So an integer array, and we'll name it ages, is equal to a new integer array, and we want 5 items since there are 5 ages we want to keep track of. Okay, so now how do we set these items in the array? Well, you type in the variable name, and then you use those square brackets again. Inside of here, you're setting the index of what you want. You're putting in the index number of what you want to set. So if we want to set the first item, we use the number 0 because again, programming starts with counting at 0. So you put it to 0 if you want to set the first item, and then you can set it equal to 25, just like how we have it down here. So now, ages of the second item is equal to 30. Ages of the third item is equal to 18. Ages of the fourth item is equal to 21. Oops. And ages of the final item is equal to 56. Now, how do we get these items? I'll go ahead and delete this. Well, all you have to do is say int age1 is equal to ages, but not args, ages, and then the index you want to get. So if we want to get the first item, we say 0. So now we just stored the first integer inside of this integer array to age1. Otherwise, we can also say system.out.println ages, not args, ages of 0. And we can do this with all 5 of them. So change this to 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's save and run this. This says all of the items that we have stored inside of our integer array. Now, what you can also do is you can make this any other data type if you'd like. So if you say byte array, you have to make sure that this matches the data type that you gave it. So you need to say byte. This can come in handy because what an array does is it allocates memory in your RAM. So say we're making, let's undo this really quick. Say we're making 5 integers. Well, we know that an integer is 4 bytes, and we're making 5 of them. So this is 20 bytes of memory. Okay, well, what if we make a byte array of ages, we'll just say ages2 equals new byte array 5. This is the same amount, and we know we're not really going to go over 127, I believe it was. So a byte is 1 byte big, multiply that by 5, and now it's only 5 bytes large. So you can see how knowing the difference in sizes can matter in the long run. What if it's 5,000 now, rather than 5? Well, 4 times 5,000 is 20,000 bytes, or 20 kilobytes. Meanwhile, this 1 times 5,000 is 5,000 bytes. Suddenly, your memory is much lower. Now, you don't always need to do this. Computers have so much memory sometimes that we don't know what to do with it. But this is good to know. If you understand how this is working, then that's awesome. Now, let's discuss how to get the size of an array. So for example, this new int, let's set this back to 5. What if I want to get how large this is? No matter what, even if something isn't set and it's still 5, I want to get that size. Well, that is simply ages, then you push dot length, and it gets the length of your array. So let's do system.out.println ages.length. Remove these and run it. It'll say 5. So now we know how big our array is. Let's go ahead and practice with arrays a little bit. So I want you to create a string array with a size of 3. Set those 3 items in the array to your name and 2 friends or family you have, and then print the names in the array to a cohesive sentence. So pause now if you would like to do so and do it on your own, otherwise we'll go over it now. So let's create a string array. So this, we just say string, then we add the brackets, the square brackets. I'll call it names is equal to a new string, then the number 3, since we want a size of 3. We only want 3 items in this array. So now we can say names of 0 is equal to Joshua Deemer. So we're setting the first item inside of the names array to Joshua Deemer. We'll just do Joshua. We'll just do first names. So then names, the second item, we'll say Lydia, my wife. Then for the third one, we'll go ahead and do Rusty, our pet dog. Okay, so now let's print them into a cohesive sentence. So system.out.println, and we'll say names of 0, the first item in names, is with the second items in the names list, playing with the dog, names of 2. Okay, so we're getting the first item in names, saying is with, then the second item in the names, then playing with the dog, then the third item in the names array. Okay, we're concatenating all this together. So let's run this. It says Joshua is with Lydia playing with the dog, Rusty. Lists, on the other hand, are a little more intimidating. To initialize a list, we need to say array list, then the generic type inside of angular brackets. Then we name the variable, set it equal to a new array list of that same generic type. Then we add our parentheses and then a semicolon. This gets a little confusing, so let's go ahead and take a look at this inside of code. Lists are a lot more confusing than an array, but let's go over them nonetheless. So to initialize a list, we need to type array list. This is the data type. This data type has a generic type of which the list will be made of. Let's say we want to make it of integers. Keep in mind, inside of generic types in Java, you cannot have primitive data types. It has to be the class version. So let's name it. We'll just name it list. It's equal to new array list, and then the angular brackets, the parentheses, and then the semicolon. You'll notice that they're still red and underlined. That's because we need an extra step in order to use this. This is part of the Java library, but it's part of the Java util library. So let's go ahead and import this, and you'll notice it adds an import line here. Now the errors are gone. Okay, so the difference between a list and an array is with a list, you can dynamically add items and you can remove items. With an array, you cannot do so. If you were to try to remove an item from an array, it would not work because an array has a fixed amount of numbers, or a fixed amount of items. So if we say int array, we'll call it array, is equal to a new integer array of 5, this 5 cannot change inside of the array once you have initialized it as this. If you want, you can reinitialize it. However, this will change the entire array and look for a new area in memory. So any items that you had in your original array will be erased as well. Okay? But a list can dynamically add and remove items. If I were to say system.out.println list, and then to get the size of the list, we say .size. Now we run it. It says 1 because there's only one item in the list. So let's do list.add20. If I run it now, it says 2. You can dynamically add to lists. You can also say list.remove, and you can say the index you want to remove, so 0 or 1 since we have 2 items, or the object we want to remove, which would be 10 or 20 in this case. But let's go ahead and remove 0 and run this. Now it's back down to 1. So I now have a list of 5 items. They're 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. But how do I get these? So unlike with an array, we can't just say int a is equal to list of 0. This does not work with lists in Java. Instead, we need to say .get. We need to use a function and then 0. This will work the same way that if we had an integer array and we said int b is equal to array of 0. These are equivalent. Okay, let's practice with lists a little bit. So I want you to create a list of strings which contain your favorite restaurants. This should be a different size list for each person. Continue until you run out of favorite restaurants. Then print the amount of items in your list to the console. So if you want to do this on your own, pause the video now. Otherwise, we'll get started on it now. So let's create an array list of strings. And we'll call this restaurants equals a new array list, parentheses, semicolon. So let's hover over it and import the array list. Now I'm going to say restaurants. My favorite restaurant is Culver's. What's another favorite restaurant of mine? We'll go with Black Rock. I think it's one word. We'll just do 2 words just in case. Restaurants.add. I think another favorite would be Red Robin's. What's one more that I could do? Well, I do like Cold Stone because ice cream's very yummy. Okay, so now that I have my restaurants, technically the last one's an ice cream store, but let's go ahead and print restaurants.size. So now we run this, and it says 4. That's the end of this episode. Next episode, we will be covering error handling in Java. Thanks for watching. Feel free to comment what your thoughts are on the series so far down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss a video. Bye!